guys, what's going on? It's T-Carp. I really wanted to thank everybody for being patient with me. Been trying to get out this video for a long time, and seems like the enemy's just trying to get it, not make it happen. So what we're going to be doing, we are reading The Truth Denied, the Sasquatch DNA study. This is my dad's version, or my dad's perspective of what happened with the Melba Ketchum DNA study. And that study basically proved that Sasquatch and Bigfoot existed. Not only proved that, proved some crazy things that science and the Bigfoot community couldn't wrap their head around. So we are getting into the second part of Chapter 8. We're talking about the submissions to the journal Nature. And we're talking about the second submission to the journal Nature. So let me get some coffee, you get yours, and we'll get started. While we do that, you can, if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, all the good things. I read Dad's books. I've got a lot more content with that. I repost Dad's stuff to make sure for all the new folks getting out there, it's like what's happening and all that. And then I take questions. I'll do my best to answer emails and all that good stuff. So you can email me at tcarp1616@yahoo.com. You can also find me Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. Just Google Tcarp and you'll find me. And it's TCARP. All right, let's get started, guys. Second submission. The first submission of the paper went through the Nature peer review process. The Nature paper, or the paper, was rejected by 3 of the 4 referees. The Sasquatch Genome Project team had major errors in their conclusion synopsis, okay? They used the word Sasquatch. The reason given by the Nature referees is the data did not support the conclusion that Sasquatch existed. The paper does not contain testable or attestable hypothesis. And, quote, no zoologist on the paper, end quote. The paper was rejected under Nature's criteria that the, quote, author's claim has not been adequately established. Under the circumstances, the editor can request the authors correct the issues raised by the referees, then resubmit the paper. This is what the editors of Nature decided, sending out a, quote, decision letter with the request for resubmission after correction. Below is an excerpt from the Nature's website under the section, quote, what a decision letter means. And Dad puts in there what a decision letter means. And in synopsis, basically it says, hey, it was rejected for this reason, so-and-so, and basically you can resubmit that on there. So, but here there was some really weird things that came about. Pay attention to this part. The referee's technical comments were reviewed by the team, and the following is an overview of what was requested for the resubmission. They wanted to add a section discussing the history of Sasquatch. They wanted them to provide pictures and video of the subject as supplemental data. The referees refused the original pictures furnished with the paper that were, quote, not clear and compelling, end quote, so they were removed. They also wanted to remove references of, quote, negative proof, end quote. Only submission of positive proof. Various technical requests for additional data, removing of certain data, and revisions and conclusions. With the assistance of David Pilates, the Sasquatch Genome Project team reached out to the respected biochemist Dr. Colm Kelleher for assistance on a rewrite of the Sasquatch Genome Project manuscript. Please see Exhibit 7 for his credentials and bio. The team completed the changes requested by the Nature referees to include the inclusion of the requested additional data. The negative results were also removed from the paper. Now focus on this, guys. This was an odd request, raising a red flag to the possible underlying motives of the referees and the editors of Nature. This motive issue is raised mainly due to the fact that some of the most compelling data was contained in these so-called negative results. The following is a list of these results. Okay? Number 1, the nuclear DNA extracted from the samples failed to amplify using universal mammalian primers. This result demonstrates that the DNA was not from any known common mammal. It wasn't from bear, fox, wolf, dog, horse, possum, etc. The nuclear DNA did not contain the human TYR gene. This gene is associated with skin and skin pigmentation in humans. The nuclear DNA also did not contain the human HAR1 gene. This gene is a, quote, human accelerated region, end quote, that is associated with the human neurological development. So what does all this mean? The negative proof was important since certain genes like skin color were so different that they would not test even on universal primers, and also the YSTRs that determine paternity origins, like the mitochondrial DNA does for the female lineage, failed to yield results indicating that the male progenitor of the Sasquatch was not entirely human. The gravity of the negative results become extremely important when considering the questions of contamination, identification, and uniqueness of the subject tested. The nuclear DNA did contain the human/Neanderthal red color gene MCR1, the human antigen gene TPAP1, and the jaw muscle gene MYH16, which showed only a human profile rather than an ape one. So it ain't ape. Alright. The missing HAR1 stands for Human Accelerated Region 1. This gene is vital in development of the human brain between the 7th and 8th month of gestation. Without this gene present, a human fetus would not be viable. It would not survive. Yet the Sasquatch Genome Project had 3 samples from 3 separate living subjects that did not have that HAR1 gene present in their nuclear DNA. In essence, the Sasquatch Genome Project had in its possession DNA from 3 living creatures that, by our biological understandings, were impossible to exist. One can see why the request to remove this is important, and the negative data from the study was definitely odd. Of course, if one wanted to suppress the evidence, this would definitely be the data that you would not want in the manuscript. There was a belief among some members that the team's request by Nature's, there was a belief among some members of the team that the request by Nature's editors for a correction and resubmission was a delaying tactic. The Bigfoot community by this time was at a fever pitch, literally demanding the results. The critics of the study were mobilized, making coordinated attacks against the paper. What was at first a loosely aligned conspiracy of the like-minded became a focused, multifaceted campaign. This became a textbook misinformation/personal destruction operation with coordinated campaign containing the following elements. They would do misinformation, personal destruction, leaking of confidential information. Listen to this, guys. A Nature referee, who reviewed the first submission of the paper, leaked parts of the review to a well-known Bigfoot researcher, Matt Moneymaker. Moneymaker then posted the reasons why the first submission was rejected on his blog. Moneymaker quoted the rejection verbatim. This was a major violation of Nature's privacy policy. That's why we read the privacy policy in the earlier chapters. There were indications that several in the media received a full or partial copies of the first submission, the first submission reviews. Articles critical of the study were written citing details that could only be known by the author having access to the referee's responses. There's also rumors and disinformation, people intentional misquoted, you also had mainstream media hit pieces on this. This was a big deal that things just started coming together. There would these mainstream media hit pieces. What they would use is the articles would use like keywords like circus, fake, bogus, bunk, contaminated, junk science. The purpose was to brainwash the general public into false and negative narratives concerning the study. In my opinion, these hit pieces were designed to propagate the idea in the general public psyche that there was not yet released Sasquatch Genome Project was suspect, not scientific, and fraudulent. This tragedy was designed to precondition the general public to ignore or disregard the study when it was published, possibly being reported on by mainstream news outlets. There's also fabrications of fake posts and emails and stuff like that. So the problem is you just have all this stuff just culminating. The next one is GenBank refuses to accept the Sasquatch genome. Adding to the frustration, GenBank refused to accept the Sasquatch genomes. This hampered the process significantly. It is standard procedure to upload your genomes to GenBank. This allows interested parties to review, compare, searching the genome using BLAST search engine. GenBank's refusal to accept the 3 Sasquatch genomes made it impossible for Nature's referees to examine the complete genome. GenBank forced the Sasquatch Genome Project team to change the genus species of the submission from unknown hominid to Homo sapiens. Then, the staff at GenBank actually requested the Sasquatch Genome Project team to provide informed consent forms from the suspects because they were human. Please see Exhibit 15 for the complete email exchange between the Sasquatch Genome Project team and GenBank. In October of 2012, Nature declined to publish the paper. The paper was rejected with no option to resubmit after changes without explanation. The referee's comments were sent to the Sasquatch Project team. The remarks from the referee number 2 were outrageous, with many indications that this referee did not even read a majority of the paper. This became obvious when the referee remarked multiple times there was no data provided in the paper when the data he was referencing was in the study, clearly marked, documented, and cited. The remarks of this referee also showed an extreme prejudice against the paper, making accusations of contamination, flawed processes, vagueness, and, quote, meaningless sections, end quote. Exhibit 9 contains the peer reviews along with Dr. Ketchum's replies. In November of 2012, the Sasquatch Genome Study team decided to submit the paper to Russian scientific journals. Dr. Igor Burstev, both a DNA sample submitter along with a member of the Sasquatch Genome Project team, arranged for a Russian scientific journal to review the Sasquatch Genome Project. The leaders of the team decided to make two short statements via Dr. Burstev and David Pilates. The statements gave the public a brief summary of the study results, including the progress of the peer review process. With the journals of Nature declining to publish and no other mainstream journals willing to accept the paper, complete secrecy was no longer an issue, except for the direct public release. The only way to get this paper in the public domain was to present it for review to the foreign journals or second-tier American journals. The statements would give the public a sense of the results to offset the mountain of misinformation that existed. David Pilates talked about 3 complete genomes that were in the study. Dr. Burstev put out the following press release via his Facebook page. And basically he talked about how many of these things, There were 109 samples, tons of stuff that could absolutely just be awesome. So he put that out, and David Pilates put some some things out about that, about the study and whatnot. So with that, we're going to end Chapter 8 and the peer review process with nature. And the next one will be Chapter 9, the passing peer review with the JMS and that journal ordeal. And you'll want to pay attention for that. Guys, I really appreciate you. If you're watching this at the time, I will be before August 22nd of 2023, or excuse me, 2025. August 22nd, 23rd, I will be at Cave City, Kentucky at Spiracy Con. And what we're doing there is I'm going to be presenting the Sasquatch Awareness Project. I'm going to be doing all that, talking about Dad's study, and just talking about all this stuff. And it's going to be awesome. If you guys want to see me there, you can. Tickets are about $100. I'm going to put that link down below. I do get some cheese from that, so absolutely would appreciate you if you could make it there. If not, completely understand. There's going to be some definite fun things coming up. So I love you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, this is T-Carp signing out. God bless.